Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Shalom to the I can teach His word throughout the four corners in true and sincerity. I'm back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, and the way to be edifying unto the elect of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, the topic. Before I get into the topic, if I forget, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means He is or He exists. The name of His Son is Yahweh Shai, which means He saves or He delivers. All right, the true chosen people, the true chosen, all right, the tribes of Israel, all right, are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. We have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but this word, the scriptures, pertain unto, us, all right? The Lord doesn't love everybody. All right, the Lord is dealing with a specific, nation of people, and another nation of people, a remnant of them in these times. All right, because only in the election will turn back to the Lord and, rehearse the righteous acts till He returns and do the work that is required. All right, to be delivered. All right, and that's basically, the whole gist. All right, doing the work required to be, saved. All right, whatever your lot, may be. All right, if you are a prophet, you prophesy. All right, if you are a help, you help. Okay? But our number one goal is to, do what the Lord is requiring us to do while we're in this truth. Because remember, we are a body. All right, we are a body. Okay, and the Lord is using every single, one of us, small or great. Okay? For the purpose of that, Lord willing, we make it, we want to receive, that report, that good, and faithful servant. Because He made us in charge of, the things that we were in charge of. He will reward us, and we will be, joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. All right. This is Matthew 25, and starting at I'm going to start at, I ain't gonna read the other thing. I'm gonna start at 21. I'm gonna start at 21. So I'm starting at 19. It says, after a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. So, the Lord has given us a portion. I'm just going to using this for an example. The Lord has gave us a portion which we are responsible for, right? He gave us a lot, all right, to fulfill, all right, while we're living here in America, all right? Are you going to sit on your ass, or are you going to multiply, that gift, multiply, what the Lord gave you, charge over? If you are a prophet, all right, just using that for an example, a better example, if you are a prophet, you must, prophesy. You have to do your due diligence. You have to do your work. What's required of you, all right? Because the Lord called us, into this truth, all right, so that we can be delivered, all right? But it's not going to be just you getting delivered, all right? And it's not you being getting delivered without doing any work. You have to prove to the Lord now, all right? Walk as if you are worthy to receive, the reward. All right, because this is a calling. All right, and our job is not finished. All right, till we endure unto the end. All right, it says, I really should start it up, but I ain't gonna start it. Well, I'm gonna start up. I'm gonna get the before. Matthew 25 and 13. It says, watch therefore, ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man coming, right? We don't know when His return is going to be. So, having that information, we have to, put our best foot forward. All right? We have to put our best foot forward. Fight the good fight of the soldier and do the work. It says, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country who caught his own servants, right? The elect, and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. So the Lord has given us, each man his portion, all right, to his ability, so to what you can handle, all right? Everybody's spirit is not the same, all right? Some is a prophet, some is a help, all right? Some are leaders, some, all right, are being built up to be leaders, okay? Some can handle more than others, right? It says, then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. And after a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more, Salakia. It says, he also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. Man, so your job is to multiply, all right? Don't just sit on your talent, all right? Because, if you able-bodied, you're supposed to be out there, teaching. All right, if that's on your spirit to teach, you got to teach. You can't hold back. All right, you got to do that to your several ability. Okay, it says his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things, enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee rule over many things. Enter down into the joy of thy Lord. All right, so, further explaining in the parable, okay, by doubling what the Lord gave you. Okay, so then he which had received, and then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast it says, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. So, that man that had 1 talent, he decided to do nothing. He decided, to be, all right. As it said, his Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. So, the Lord's requiring us to work, all right. The scripture say you don't work, you don't eat. All right, when you go to Thessalonians 2, 1 Thessalonians 3 and where is that? Yeah. 2 Thessalonians 3 and 10 says, for even when we were with you this week, commanded you that if any would not work, neither shall he eat. All right, for we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. So our job is to work. The Lord is calling us to do a job, all right, to teach the word in season and out of season. That is a job. You work in season and out of season. No matter the weather, you do the work that's required of you. All right, you have some men that start and they don't finish. Okay, so it's more than working. You have to finish what you started. All right, as a man, you commit yourself to a cause. You commit yourself to a job. You have to finish that job. You have to finish that work. All right, it's like you building a house. All right, you can't start building a house and stop halfway through. All right, one part of the house done, but the other half you ain't even started. So you got to finish your work. All right, Timothy. All right, he understood when he finished his course. He knew that there was a reward, laid up for him. Paul, that's Paul, Peter, asked the Lord, what shall we receive? Okay, because we are forsaking these things. He said you're gonna receive 100-fold. All right, but that's only if you finish. You can't quit, halfway through. All right, there's a saying we say, you only lose when you quit. All right, you only lose when you give up. All right, speaking to myself first and foremost. All right, because we want to receive that saying, that good and faithful servant. All right, so when we in the kingdom, we're gonna receive that fame. All right, and that praise, because these are the men that made it through the tribulations. All right, that when Jacob's trouble was happening, they remained faithful. All right, those that were prophesying when it was hot, when it was cold. All right, that made the sacrifice towards Yahweh Shem Shai when the mark of the beast was presented, because they kept the word of his patience. All right, they were kept. All right, that's the account that we want to receive. All right, that's the story that we want to be told. All right, for generations. Okay, because again, this is our last captivity. We won't have to go through another captivity, again. So why quit now? We're literally at the end. It's not like Salaki, if I'm speaking fast, it's not like all right, you die and then you got to come back into another captivity. Like this is truly it. Like this is the last of the last of the last. The end. All right, of Esau's world, and the coming into the beginning of our rulership. All right, and the Lord has given us an opportunity to be a part of that governing body. All right, that governing body. Governing the earth. Okay. Matthew 19 and starting at 27. It says, then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have? What shall we have therefore? So, same thing, we have forsaken, this world. All right. We done, took up our cross. All right. Bearing the burdens of what's required in this truth and doing the work required. Right. It says, and Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you. And right, not everybody is built, for this. The Lord has, placed a bet, on you, on us. All right. He's betting on us. All right. That's why he gave us, those different talents. Are you able, all right, to flip those talents? Are you able to, what I gave you, are you able to, double it? Okay. Basically, put in a bet. All right. If you come back, you ain't make any profit, or you ain't double what the Lord gave you. All right. You just was a bad bet. You go die like 2/3. All right. So the Lord has placed a bet, on us. All right. And he wants to see, what's the word? The fruit of our labors. Okay. It says Matthew 19 and 28 says, and Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every man that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and he shall inherit everlasting life. All right. This is the goal. All right. Because we have forsaken this world. All right. We want to, receive 100-fold, the reward. Okay. But it says, but many that are first shall be last, and last shall be first. Because even though we're looked at as the tail, as the bottom of society, especially the prophets, are we going to be made, first. All right. Lord, we're going to be part of the elect. All right. And we get crowned, I should say. All right. We're going to be first. All right. That governing body. All right. A man of the Lord, a man of the elect. Okay, because we're made last in this world, in this society, but we're first in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, so all this the hell and the tribulations that we go through, all right, all that shit don't really matter. All right, it don't matter, because we know what's coming. All right, we see the end goal, we see the light at the end of the tunnel. All right. We just want to have that good report in the eyes of Yahweh Shem Shai. Because the scriptures talk about how those are the coming everlasting contempt. This is Daniel 12:2. It says, I'm sorry, 1. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince was standing for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So, coming into these last days, like Jacob's trouble, we're gonna be defended by, angels, using Michael. All right, the Lord's gonna defend us. Okay, because standing for the children of thy people. All right, who's the people of the Lord? All right, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, but really, the elect. Okay, it says, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and at that time, like thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found ran in the book, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. All right, because the Lord has given us, a job to do. You started this mission. You can't quit now, right? Some are gonna, wake to everlasting life, and some to everlasting shame and everlasting contempt. Those that sold out in this world, those that were in the truth, the Lord has gave them a portion, and they ain't finished. All right, well they had the ability or the path to be a part of the elect. Okay, but they chose, they chose death. All right, Scripture tells us that, those that wander. All right, in Proverbs 21:16, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of death. So, those that were in this truth, all right, that they, they went astray. Right now, they in the congregation of the dead. Some teaching, wicked doctrines, and some not even doing the work at all. All right, but us in the know, we having a chance. All right, because again, we don't know, who's a part of the elect, but we put our best foot forward. We put on as the elect, certain traits and things that we do, all right, by cutting off the flesh. All right, but we truly don't know. That's why it says in Peter, 1 Peter 1 and 2 Peter 1:10, it says, wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fall. So we have to do what is required so we can be a part of the elect. All right, because these group of men, although when, we part of that number, these group of men, okay, are special, souls, the jewels of Yahweh Shema Shai, all right, that are here in these times now, teaching, breaking down the scriptures, bringing it out, sending curses, prophesying against this wicked system. All right, these men, Lord willing, we a part of that number, us. All right, are a special class of Israelites. We not like all Israel. It's Israel, and then there's, the elect, or the remnant. All right, and you go see it, especially when we in the kingdom. All right, you go see, the different classifications, or the different like how you have a high class and low class. They're gonna be ranked, I should say, in the kingdom. All right, man that's part of the elect is gonna be different than a regular Israelite. All right, it's gonna be a difference. Why? Because while we were here in Babylon, the Lord had gave us a lot, to be a part of that class. All right, meaning to say that, Lord, while we here in America, all right, we did what was required to be a part of that number. Whether we knew it or not, all right, we put our best foot forward. All right, and we endured unto the end. All right, because that's what it truly is, enduring unto the end and flipping those talents that the Lord gave us. Okay, and it's it's not, and it's a lot to it. Okay, and it's more than just prophesying as well. All right, okay, because scriptures talk about we are the temple of the Lord. All right, your actions, all right, on a day-to-day basis dictate whether you are part of your elect or not. Are you waking up and praying? Are you praying? All right, are you praying to the right names? All right, when you go through certain temptations and trials, are you calling upon Yahweh Shem Shai? When it's time to do the work, are you doing the work? All right. When it's time to show charity, are you being charitable? When it's time to sacrifice, all right, for the brotherhood, are you sacrificing? Right. Speaking to myself and foremost. All right. We are not perfect, but all right. We are not perfect, but we try. That's what the Lord wanted to see. The effort. Behind it. All right. See the point. Or going back to that parable with the talents. All right. Those men, the one that had 5, the one that had 2. All right, they put in the work. They tried. But the man that had 1, he didn't try at all. All right, that's why the Lord called him a wicked and slothful servant, because you didn't even fucking try. All right, see, everybody, again, going back to what I was saying, everybody is not, given the same amount of ability. He's not giving the same. Every man is not given the same amount, but whatever amount you can you are in charge of or can control. All right, you work towards that. All right, and you double it. You get better. Okay, because some men, they were caught and they were in the truth, and they were scared, or they didn't even take the first step. All right, and they knew the spirit was calling for it, and they didn't take heed. Right. Okay. All right, but hey, another thing too is that not everybody's a part of this. All right, the Lord's dealing with an election. Okay, this thing is about predestination. If you were in this thing and you fell out for whatever reason, all right, you end up going back into the world and doing nigga shit, 2 weeks later, then this thing was not for you. Simple as that. All right, your lot was just to, come around this, The Lord wanted you to know, all right? And, the Lord wanted you to know, so when that time comes, all right, there's no excuse. And you can receive it worse than the 2/3, all right, that didn't know, okay? All right. With that this lesson was edifying, all right? I want to give our praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai Ba'Shem Kakwadash, and the bonus to the apostles and elders, great millstone, inshallah.